Coming up on Mountain News this morning, a group of Eastern Kentucky students and a driver are left injured in a bus crash. And as the state continues to see a climb in RSV cases, the virus begins to impact members of the adult population.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, 6 o'clock. It's Tuesday. And I'm Dakota Makris. We certainly appreciate you waking up with us this morning. And let's head over to Brandon for a look at our forecast this morning, who always likes to brag that he's up before I am. So, Brandon, good morning to you.
Listen, that is most of the time the truth.
It is always, it's always true. There's no most of the time you are up before me.
Listen, everybody thinks that when you're on TV, especially in the weather department, that you just come in and you hit some buttons and it goes. There's a lot of prep work that goes in.
I thought y'all just hit buttons and it goes.
Nope. There's a lot of graphics building and things that has to go on before we ever hit the air. So there you go. All right, I'm not going to tell you exactly what time I get up every night, but it's early. All right, let's get into the forecast this morning as we hit 6:02. We're going to see a live pinpoint Doppler radar being very active this morning. So I'm going to take you on a brief tour here just a second. Let's go down south first to the heaviest bands of rain over into Lee and Owsley counties, over into Buckhorn there in Perry County, really going through Clay County. They're getting their second round of heavy rain this morning out toward London, I-75 south of Mount Vernon. Come on down the road a little bit into parts of Bell County and Southwest Virginia, over there toward Ewing and Lee County, getting some pretty good rain. We scoot back to the north there near Prestonsburg and Paintsville. Now around the Prestonsburg area, it's actually just south of Paintsville, between Paintsville and Prestonsburg, and between Prestonsburg and Martin there on US 23, and then up to Moorhead along I-64, going back over toward Carter County, over toward Grayson, and coming out of Bath County this morning. Some pretty good rain over that way as well. Now the areas that we're concerned about: Moorhead, Ashland, Prestonsburg, Jackson, Manchester, Hazard, Clintwood. That's all because they're below that 35 or below the 35-degree mark there this morning, which could mean some winter mix. But a little extra on your coffee meter this morning. It's a dreary day. Just make sure that you're taking care, slowing down, and being careful this morning. As we clear the donuts away, this dreary day is going to continue, and you see a lot of blue on that. That means colder temperatures. That trend will last for several days as we head toward the weekend. Dakota?
All right, Brandon, thank you. At least 2 students and a bus driver were flown to hospitals after their bus crashed in Magoffin County Monday morning. All 18 students on board were taken to hospitals to be treated for their injuries, which range from minor to critical. We were told a large crowd gathered for a prayer vigil yesterday, and people are being asked to wear maroon today in support of the students. Our Keaton Hall reports.
18 students and a bus driver were injured Monday morning when their bus crashed down a steep embankment in Magoffin County.
We had the all call that went out today, and surrounding counties answered that call, and they came to help our children, and I just can't thank them enough.
2 students and the bus driver needed to be airlifted from the scene.
What we used was rope and cribbings and Stokes baskets and pulled the students up the hills for the one up the hill, except the ones that could get up the hill by themselves. When I arrived on the scene, there was a few students already climbed up the hill on their own.
Neighbors in the area were seen providing blankets and coats to children waiting to be taken to the hospital. Chris Leemaster has lived in the area for 53 years and says he's seen accidents on this road before, but nothing like this.
The parents was tore up, just, like I would be. It's just a bad scene. They was just, you could just hear them, crying and stuff, and it just scared to death.
This comes after classes at Magoffin County High School were canceled last week, honoring a classmate who recently died in a UTV accident.
There's a lot to deal with, especially for young students, and that's why last week and this week we've made certain to provide additional supports. Our community's always been really good in trying times to step up and provide those supports.
Mental health professionals are available to students in Magoffin County this week, offering much-needed support. Keaton Hall, WYMT Mountain News.
Well, troopers responded to the scene around 7:30 Monday morning. A student on board the bus was able to call 911, and Magoffin County Schools is on a 1-hour delay today. We are hearing from Kentucky's leaders following the bus crash yesterday. In Frankfort, Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman shared her reaction. She said her thoughts and prayers are with the school district and all the kids and parents that are dealing with uncertainty. And in a tweet, the governor said he asked all Kentuckians to pray for all those involved. The bus crash has brought up safety concerns on school buses. Magoffin County school officials were asked about the concept of seat belts in the aftermath of the crash. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says school buses are designed to be safer than passenger vehicles, especially when it comes to preventing injuries. This includes protective seating and high crush standards. Chad Hedrick has been looking into the data.
Mangled in a wooded embankment, this bus crash in Magoffin County has posed the question about safety protocols and features on school buses.
Of course, as a parent, you love your children and you want to protect them.
More than a dozen children were injured in Monday's crash after the school bus they were in went over an embankment. Superintendent Chris Meadows says the district follows procedures and protocols to maintain safety.
Our drivers are trained, our buses are maintained.
Last school year, there were just over 1,000 school bus incidents in Kentucky. Nearly half were in the morning, and 360 of them were in rural areas. Data from the state shows 129 students were hurt in those crashes.
I think when it comes to student safety, everything's on the table. You always want to consider what you can and what you can do.
According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, buses are designed with a concept called compartmentalization. This protects students without them needing to be buckled in. Students are supposed to be protected by the closely spaced seats that absorb energy.
Accidents do happen. It's unfortunate when they do. But I would just say that I still feel hope and trust in our employees. And I would hope that the parents would too in the days to come.
That was Chad Hedrick reporting. Meanwhile, the National Transportation Safety Board has been recommending states begin requiring lap and shoulder belts for all school bus passengers. Today, the Kentucky Supreme Court will hear arguments in the fight to restore abortion access. The ACLU of Kentucky will argue its case on behalf of EMW Women's Surgical Center and Planned Parenthood. It is challenging two abortion bans that have been in effect for more than 3 months. Today's arguments come 1 week after Kentucky voters voted no on Amendment 2. Well, that was the no right to abortion in the constitutional amendment. Well, as we continue navigating what medical professionals fear is a triple-demic, they are seeing an increase in RSV cases in older populations. Well, our Alyssa Williams has those details.
Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is more commonly seen in young children or infants, but recently medical professionals have been seeing positive cases in older groups.
Yeah, we've seen several cases this year already of RSV in adults. A lot of times they end up hospitalized, shortness of breath, wheezing, and we do respiratory panels there. And we just do a whole panel, a slew of tests, and we've had several that are RSV positive, some on the ventilator.
Infectious disease specialist Dr. Ferris Cotter says this increase in adult RSV cases can be attributed to people letting their guards down following the height of the COVID pandemic.
Our bodies have not seen these viruses for a while. So the immunity is down for all these viruses.
Medical Director for Primary Care Centers of Eastern Kentucky, Dr. John Jones, says the increase in RSV cases is just one of several issues medical professionals are currently facing.
We have a shortage of the quick tests that we have in the clinic, so we're trying to focus those on our 2 and under population. So it's got increasingly difficult to get a diagnosis and make sure everybody's treated appropriately.
Although there are no vaccines to protect anyone against RSV, we can continue following COVID-19 safety protocols to prevent the spread of these respiratory illnesses.
Frequent hand washing, use of hand sanitizer, use a mask. It's still a good recommendation to wear a mask if you're out in large crowds.
Aiming to keep everyone safe and informed for the RSV season. In Hazard, Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
Infectious disease specialist Dr. Ferris Cotter says although they are seeing an increase in RSV cases in adults, he says the virus has not yet hit its peak. Well, with cases of RSV climbing in Kentucky, some are concerned about a dangerous winter surge of respiratory illnesses. Health officials are worried that the combination of RSV, COVID-19, and the flu could put a strain on local hospitals. Those with the CDC recommend you stay up to date on your COVID and flu vaccines and continue to wear a mask in high transmission areas.
To look at this winter as being not just the pandemic, but a potential tridemic. You have the flu, which is already at higher levels than usual. And you have the respiratory syncytial virus, RSV.
Veteran Kentucky journalist Al Cross compiles Kentucky health news each week as a service of the Institute for Rural Journalism and Community Issues. You can hear WYMT anchor Steve Hensley's conversation with him, which is mainly about Kentucky and national politics. On this week's Issues and Answers, you can find that over on WYMT.com. And with more cold temperatures in the forecast, people are looking to keep warm at home and will likely see an increase in their energy costs. 93% of homes built after 2015 are not insulated to today's standards, meaning you could be paying around 50 to 75% more in energy costs. One way to save this winter is by getting an energy home assessment.
So we can come in and show you things that we can do, but a lot of times we'll also be able to give you advice on things you can do yourself. You know, there are some simple home remedies like adding weather stripping, putting child-proof outlet covers on your electrical outlets on exterior walls. That'll help for drafts and things. So there's little minor things like that that we try to educate people on. And then we come in and do our whole home approach, where it's pretty often that we can save somebody's energy bills somewhere in the 50 to 70% range, sometimes in 1 or 2 days worth of work.
Additionally, by closing your foundation vents, you can also cut down on energy costs. Most home energy assessments are free of charge.
6:12 on this Tuesday morning. Definitely going to be a cold stretch of days, and this morning it is a bit soggy as well. Let's take a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar. Anywhere you see darker greens, yellows, and oranges, that is heavy rain. In some areas where it's a little colder, could be a little bit of winter mix. If not had any reports of that just yet, I'll keep you posted if I do. Corbin along I-75, one of those areas, seeing some pretty good rain right now. We're going to continue to watch that trend as we head through the first part of your day. We are watching Manchester, Hazard, Jackson, Prestonsburg, Ashland, Moorhead, and Clintwood. Those are the areas that are below 35 or at 35 this morning. Thankfully, temperatures are already going up, so that's going to help us out some as we head a little bit deeper into the daytime hours. But again, only low 40s today if we're lucky, so be ready for that. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you so much. It's 6:13. When we come back here on Mountain News this morning, former President Donald Trump is expected to make a big announcement today from his Florida estate. We'll have more details on what that might be in just a few minutes.